All right, welcome everyone. So this is our Meet the Trainers event for March here at the Somatic School, March 2026. As I said, we're expecting a few more to arrive, um, and we'll let everyone in as we go. But of course, we're recording this as well. So if you're joining by recording, welcome. It's really lovely to see everybody. So I am Sam Taylor, the head of training at the Somatic School, the ICF Director of Education. I've been with the school since 2019 and super excited, happy to be joined today by one of our course trainers, Malay. So Malay has been a trainer with the Somatic School since 2022 and is delivering. Hey, Susanna, welcome. So Malay is delivering our practicums, also our group coaching course, and is an integral part of the Somatic School team. So we will be having a dialogue, principally about Malay's background, influences, and experience of the training space to give you all a flavor of what it's like here at the Somatic School, how the learning container is held, the feel of the space, the quality and the kind of specifics of what we're exploring in body oriented coaching, so you can find for yourself, so you can resonate for yourselves if this is a kind of the kind of space you want to learn in. At the Somatic School, we say if it isn't resonant, it isn't right. So this is really inviting you to just keep feeling into what feels good, resonant, or less so about what we're sharing. And there is going to be an opportunity at the end of this call for you to share your questions as well. So we're going to probably go for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes with Malay, exploring this in a kind of emergent dialogue kind of way. But if you have questions about the space, about the course specifically, please pop them in the chat, and we will endeavor to kind of make space for those at the end in a more of a open floor kind of way. Hey, Juliana, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
So I've just explained we're just about to go into the conversation between myself and Malay. But if you have any questions at any point, Juliana, please put them in the chat. In the meantime, encourage you to stay on mute just to kind of make sure there's no background noise. And welcome and enjoy. So let's go to you then, Malay. So this is our Meet the Trainers event. This is a fireside emergent type conversation for us. Um, I'm gonna pop multi-speaker view on, and that way you'll come up to the top of my screen. Malay, love to first hand over to you in terms of saying a few words to the group about who you are, your role, and so forth.
Thank you so much, Sam. I'm really excited to be here with you all today in such a familiar space as the Somatic School is. It's just become a home for myself. So thank you for inviting me to this Meet the Trainers. Um, my name is Male. I'm Male Corona. I'm based in Mexico City, and I had the luck to find the school in 2021 when I was already a coach at the time. I started coaching around 2017. As part of my journey, I discovered that I really wanted to work with men. I was very involved in the men's movement, men's work. And I just saw in my, like for myself, I had found so many resources as a woman, like many women's circles and a lot of books and trainings and different things held by women for women. And I was just wondering, like who's doing this for men? Like who's supporting men in their development and in their awakening and all of this? And I discovered that there were only a few, particularly mostly men doing some men's work. And I became very passionate of the work and I really wanted to contribute to it. So I became a transformational coach. I had a few clients. We were having amazing conversations, but it really felt like something was missing. And I just thought, like in my journey, I've really needed to tap into my body a lot, to learn more about myself, to heal some wounds, to move forward, etc. How can we do this with men? So I was just like asking that question to the universe somehow. How can we do this with men in a way that feels comfortable to them? Because I was doing that through yoga, through dance, through different modalities that included the body. And that's when the school came. That was my answer from the universe. And I remember attending the introductory call, and I knew right there, this is it. So I was lucky to find the school then and join as a participant. And ever since, I think the school has played a very important role, not only in my career as a coach, but also in my personal life. There was a whole transformation after going through this program. So here I am, very excited to share whatever is wanted to be shared today in this call.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, I remember Maddie, when because I was training your intake when in 2021 when you joined, I think, as a participant. And yeah, I was always so struck by um the fact that you were calling in during the night and things like that. This was quite early days in the story of the school. And these days, we do have quite a few participants who are calling from different hours, different ends of the globe, and so forth. But I'm really curious. You mentioned, your personal transformation that kind of ensued. What was happening? What was it specifically that drew you to the school, and what was happening in your life at that time?
Well, we were still going through the pandemic in a way. I remember this was early to mid 2021. I had in a way I was lucky to have a lot of time, maybe due to the pandemic, to enroll myself in a program. And yes, you're right. This happened at night. I was in Mexico, so the school was only offering a program for people in Europe, basically. So I remember I had to dial at 3 a.m. in the morning from my pajamas, taking the training. But it felt like, everything felt just like it was the right time for me to enroll and take a program, even if it had to be at night. It felt like I was very supported. Maybe due to the world conditions, it was possible for me to do that at the time. And yeah, I just remember, like what really drew me and made me feel confident that this was right for me was the fact that my answer had been like answered in a way. Like I remember in the introductory call, when you had us, I think this was when I took the call. I think it was Nathan who was guiding the call. And when Nathan had us go through some verbal experiments and like different somatic skills, I was like, wow, this is like so simple to facilitate and yet so powerful to receive. So it was I was receiving that from both perspectives, like thinking of myself facilitating that for my men, and at the
Mhm.
time I was receiving that as a participant, and it felt so powerful in the things that I discovered about myself in such a short length of time, and with such simple exercises, so to speak.
Mhm.
So I was like, this is it. I need to know more about this. I need to know, like how to get into this, because I feel my
Mhm.
clients could really benefit from this.
Mm. So we're slightly going off script, but I'm really curious about how you describe what this is, body into coaching.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I keep calling it this. It just felt I think coming from my experience with the clients was like we were having some amazing conversations, like interesting breakthroughs in the conversations, but not a lot of real change was happening in their lives after, like the sessions. Like they kept coming to their patterns, things like that. So it felt like something was missing. It really felt like there had to be an element that was a little bit more embodied, some sort of an experience, something that they could take with them, and that could be maybe like a reminder or like something um, that could create the change or at least ignite it. That was my sense. I at the time I didn't have words to describe it. I just had the sense because I had experienced it myself in my own healing journey, but I did it through some modalities that were quote unquote more feminine. And it didn't feel right to sort of encourage my clients to try those things. It was more like something that would be a fit for them. And when I
Mm.
say this, it was like, like the modality, like the fact that they could have a connection to their body through something very simple. I remember in the introductory call, I was sitting down in my desk, with my laptop in front. And just by sitting down my desk and following through what Nathan was guiding us, I had an experience of connecting with my body, and I had insights coming from my body. So that's what when I say this, it was like that, like the modality, like the fact that people in a very simple way could actually make a click and a connection with their own.
Mm.
Well, now I
Mm.
know it's all felt sense, right? But at the time, it was like with their own inner wisdom, with their own bodily wisdom.
Mm. Yeah, it's sort of I suppose it reminds me at the time I think we were talking a lot about this is coaching with the body in mind, and partly that's a core distinction of the approach, the inclusion of both the mind and the body in the process of change.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lovely. So we also say true to coaching, true to somatics. So again, I'm curious, what does that mean to you in your practice and in your work? That phrase, true to coaching, true to somatics.
That's something that I really resonate with, and that the school gave me as well. Was much more of a structure in which my coaching could flow. I feel that in my previous training, which was great, this was more oriented towards like the type of questions that you can ask. How can you help a person become aware of their limiting beliefs, and challenge them, things like that, which was maybe a great way to start. But in a way, at least that was my first experience with coaching. I didn't have any previous experience with coaching, so I feel that there was not a lot of structure in the way I was handling these conversations. We were just
Hmm.
like flowing all over the space, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it was not so effective, after this is something that I really started experiencing with the school, and especially after the school had this transition where the ICF was much more included
Mm.
um, in the way we do coaching. It really
Hmm.
helped become more efficient. It was like, oh, now I have like a very clear structure where,
Hmm.
like inside that container, my coaching can flow, but that structure really makes it very effective. So I really
Hmm.
love that the school holds this two things together. It's like through the coaching in the way that we are very close to the ICF and what the ICF recommends for coaches to do. And also at the same time, it includes the body, it includes emergence, it includes unfolding, things that maybe you are not under your control, but
Hmm.
it can really emerge safely within that very structured container. So I just love holding both, like the yin and the yang.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I love that. So yeah, it was in 2023 when we shifted to the level two. I mean, we were always ICF aligned, but since 2023, this has been like a one-stop shop for um, kind of full coaching education to PCC level. But I love how you say that it made your work more effective to hold structure and flow somehow.
Mhm.
Yeah. Could you bring that to life somehow, or could? In what way did it make it more effective?
It just feels like I remember you saying this in when you were my trainer. At some point, you mentioned that foundations, like module one foundations, which is very much like giving us the basics of traditional coaching, was this operating system in which body-oriented coaching could just exist and flow. And that really stuck with me because it really feels like that. It really feels like having a structure. Like how to open a session, hold the space in the middle to be with your client, partner with the client, and then save the space at the end to close in a way that's really in service to the work you did with your client. Like having this very clear and simple, because it really feels like a simple container. Um, I really feel that it really helps, to be very clear on what's the thing that the client wants to explore. Then you have the space to explore it in a way that feels creative, emergent, and like following what the client needs. But at the same time, you're also honoring that
Mm.
last piece of integration. So
Mhm.
I think having that clarity, it really, at least for me, it just feels like I know what's holding the work, and then the work just happens in a way.
Mhm.
So it just felt like that. It was much more smoother, easier, faster. It just felt more effective. I think that's the word that mostly resonates.
Yeah, yeah. What about the role of intuition or instinct in that for you and for your clients with the men that you work with?
It definitely there's a space for that, because it just feels like we work a little bit with the mind, especially in the first piece where you are like getting very clear on what the client wants to explore, what's underneath that, etc. And then you just sort of allow the work to happen. And when I say the work, it's a little bit of the magic of you never know, right? How much into the body you're gonna go, how much are you gonna take in the mind? I mean, that's really up to the client, meeting your client where they're at. But in a way, the intuition is always there. It's like once you establish what the client is looking to get from the session, then you just sort of like, at least that's my experience. I sort of like let go and allow then my client to sort of guide me through the work. So my intuition is very close to what my client is needing in the moment. So it doesn't
Mm.
feel like it's not restrictive at all. Because that's something that I was fearful of, maybe unconsciously, but when I remember, like when there was this shift to be a little bit more, even more ICF inclined and stuff, I was a little bit resistant, to that because I was like, isn't isn't the structure going to take away the magic? I was a little bit concerned.
Magic. Yeah. That feels really important, that part, the magic you'd been in touch with. And then, yeah, then what?
Yes, yes. I mean, and I fortunately had the experience that it doesn't take away any of that. Even it might even uh, make more space for it, because it really feels like there is a safe container. There is, something holding a space for that magic to happen appropriately. So absolutely no fear there anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm feeling that as well. Like I'm feeling a aliveness as you share about that magic. I'm curious, like when you say magic, what does that look like? Or how do you know? What are you pointing to?
Yes, I think that's an interesting discussion. Many participants have the same experience or a very similar experience. We when you find wisdom that comes from inside
Right,
you, like really
right.
it's sitting there just waiting for you to be ready to receive it. At least for me, that's something that feels like magic. And also when you are coaching someone and you see them have that sort of connection and that sort of aha moment that's coming from them, not from something you're sharing, like not from a resource, it just comes from them. It's a magic moment. It just feels like, like how
Mm.
how did this happen? Like how could
Mm.
it be that this has been there and I had not noticed, or wow, like just sometimes being very impressed that we are wiser than we think we are. We don't give ourselves enough credit, because many times we forget to tap into that inner wisdom that's sitting there just in our
Yeah.
body, in ourselves.
Yeah. Love that. I mean, it brings to mind for me that, body into coaching is really an integrative framework. So it's, as you say, the operating system of the essence of coaching, what makes coaching effective at the simplest but deepest level, as we understand it, the best we can understand it. But then the integration of other modalities like focusing, so connecting with the body's wisdom, Hakomi, constellations, Rachel Blackman's work, uh, lots of other sources, and that they all seem to have a common thread about that access to inner wisdom, but that in a way, the framework that we're offering is one which offers multiple points, multiple ways in, so that we can flex to our different clients, our different contexts. What comes up for you there, or what's that like? Does that resonate, or what comes up for you when I say that?
Yeah, absolutely resonates. And that's something that I was actually sharing with some of our participants yesterday in the practicum, who they are very early in the training, and they were a little concerned, about like, but what if, like, what if someone's having a hard time going inwards, more like interoception? Well,
Mm.
I was like, good news, like the program offers a wide variety of skills for some people, and this is normal. I was like just normalizing that for them, like this is normal. Some people, at least for instance in my case, it's very easy for me to practice interoception and to really find answers inside myself. But I know that there are some people who have a different style, and for some people it's easier to find things outwardly, and there are skills where people can project things outwardly, and it's still somatic, but it's happening in a way that they can see the things, kind of have contact with the things, rather than feel the things or sense the things within them at that point. So we have like a wide variety, just of you said, as entry points, that will offer access to this wisdom, and adaptable to everybody's preferences and learning styles. And yeah, it just feels very inclusive in that sense.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, lovely. So, I guess that's also why, we aligned to the level 2 of the ICF, because at the PCC level and moving more towards MCC, that's inherently how coaching kind of looks and feels. Once you've really internalized the structure, you can be very attuned to the emergent present moment, um, and even work more conceptually with questions while still being connected to that embodied experience and get the both
Mm.
hand of that. What's your experience around that?
Yes, I feel, like that's that, like the flexibility, it doesn't have to be black or white, right? It's just this. And I remember very much. I think it was Nathan in my training who explained something. We have like this map for those of you who don't know, but where we sort of explain like what happens within a coaching session. And of course, the map is a little linear because it's a map, right? But I remember Nathan explaining something like, in real life, it's going to look more like,
Yeah, yeah,
and
right.
definitely what you're saying, right? We're coming. And this is something that the school says a lot as well, right? We're not. It's not one or the other, right? It's not the mind or the body. It's really
Yeah,
mind and body, right? We're body minds.
yeah.
So we're playing, we're dancing, we're going back and forth. Sometimes it's more noticeable, sometimes less noticeable, but this idea of back and forth is there.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you can kind of have the linearity of the mind, like if this, then, and the forwarding of that, but the non-linearity of the body mind, as that integrated system, complex system, and trusting its signals and also learning how to tune into which signals have the most resonance, the most potential as well. All right. So thinking about the training environment and the school, um, what do you notice about that that makes it different from other spaces that you've learned in or trained in?
Well, I think there's definitely big differences, at least with my previous experiences in training. It was huge, you know, like differences were huge. It just felt like such a warm, such an inclusive space. Something I really liked is, you know, like the trainers were, and the team in general, like were interested in knowing how we're doing, like how we're feeling, but like truly, not just like, hi, how's everyone? Oh, fine, 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 fine. It was more like, what are you feeling? What are you sensing? What's going on, right? And everything was accepted and embraced, you know, even if someone was having a bad day or feeling some pain or whatever, like everything was just welcome. That was very new for me. Like I was used to very I don't know like what to call it, but like, you know, like spaces where everyone is just like polite, you know, like, oh, I'm doing well. Yeah, well, yes, I'm fine. Yeah, doing well. And yeah, just the fact that you could truly be yourself, like it just felt right to, I remember like the first calls, I was like concerned that I would be in my pajamas, you know, like I didn't want to turn my camera on. I was like, oh my God. And then you start seeing, you know, like people are eating on camera, doing their hair, like whatever, like lots of things are happening, and it's everything is just welcome because it's, you know, part of the experience, you know, like we're in contact with our humanness. So I think that's something that eventually I became very comfortable with and started to allow myself to be more myself in the training, and not having to look professional or anything, but just really be messy and yeah, like really learn in a human environment. That for me was a game changer. I had never experienced anything like that. And
Mm.
yeah, like I something I love is like just something I'm even feeling in this call, and I can feel it in any practicum, and feel it in any call with the somatic school, is just this familiarity, this home like sense of, you know, like we're all in this together. We're all like somnauts in a way, part of this journey. And I remember this really stuck with me as well. Like once a somonet, always a somonet, right? Like once you have contact with the somatic school, there's something that touches you in a way that will always be with you, will always yeah, I remember, you know, like this idea, if it changes in your body, it changes in your life. And I think
Mm.
that's something that the school does very, very well. They really know how to touch or like there's someone that's deeply, and there's something that changes in them, and it changes in their life, and in every person they continue touching. So
Mm.
that's something that really I really appreciate about the school.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? So that the way we facilitate the space is intended to model the way that we coach in our beingness, you know, in the qualities of our attention to be here, regulated, present, differentiated experience, to be with what's all of what's here as far as we can, you know, which includes our own experience in a kind way, accepting way, holding that if we can accept what's here, then it reveals itself to us and more change becomes available. And then that sense of being guided, you know, that sense of tuning in or following uh, the life-giving signals and trusting those. Is that like, so that's the idea. What's your experience as a facilitator when you train at the Somatic School?
Yes, absolutely. That's something I really appreciate as well about the school, and uh, yeah, the way we facilitate here. You know, like taking into account what's emerging, what's alive. Sometimes the group has a particular question, and to really explore that question as a group and allowing everyone to bring some input. It really feels that we're not the gurus. We're not the gurus who have the knowing, or the knowledge, and you have to learn this and do it this way. It's more about like we are co-creating the experience. We are learning from each other, and it's through following that aliveness, that signal, or like as you're mentioning, like that thing that wants to be known in the moment. Of course there is
Mm.
a structure, of course there are things that we're going to be facilitating and sharing with the group, but there's always this space for emergence, and that makes it very unique for each group and for in each call even.
Mm. Lovely. Yeah. So again, that balance of structure and flow. And as a facilitator, we're holding both hands, aren't we? We're thinking about the container as a very particular design to the spaces, but there's also a very particular openness to what wants to emerge. And the idea being then that what comes out might be more than the sum of its parts as well, and that we can trust that it has an intelligence to it. It all has an intelligence. Um, okay, so. But you're specifically at the moment, Ale, you're doing a lot of training of the practicum space and also our group coaching course. So, um, yeah, what's important for you about the practicum sessions, and maybe you can say a little bit about what they are and how they fit in the design
Mm-hmm.
of the course.
Yeah, I think this is also something very special about the school. At least in my previous experience with trainings, there was not a lot of space to practice. It was more about like the theory, and you could see some demos and things. But like I think the school takes it very seriously in terms of making sure that their participants practice enough. Not only as the modules go, but also having this special calls called practicums. And it's really nice because we encourage our participants to volunteer, and there's a, so to speak, a public practice, like where someone volunteers to be a coach, someone volunteers to be a coachee. The rest of us, we are off camera, muted, just observing, and then we offer some feedback. So it's a really nice, very safe place to practice. We always frame it as a playground because it really feels like that. It's a place where you can play, where you can um, get it right, get it wrong. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you practice and that you learn something. And especially, I think there's a great benefit when you are being observed by your whole group and you are being celebrated by your whole group. It's just like something that really increases your confidence. I feel it's really good, especially for people who maybe are just starting in their coaching journey. They don't have like a lot of experience with clients. It can be very, very encouraging. And we also make space for let's say like more private practices where we send you into breakouts with your partner, and you have a chance to practice for 2 rounds, switching. In one round you're the coach, in one round you're the coachee. So it really, I think, at least in that practicum, you have somehow practiced 3 times. One was through being an observer, or maybe you volunteer to be there, and then you
Mm.
go and you practice again for 2 rounds. So
Mm.
it's a lot of practice. It really feels, at least for me, when I was a participant, it really felt like, wow, I got a confidence boost today, because you get feedback also in your breakout. You get time to reflect with your partner in there, so it's feedback about how it went. So it's a lot of information about how you can be better and what you did great. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it gives them a lot of confidence. That's my sense of it.
Yeah, brilliant. I'd actually never thought of it like that. That first is 3 rounds of practice, observe, then coach, then receive, or vice versa, receive and coach. Um, yeah, I guess thinking about the flow of the course, we have these modules. The 2-day module is the core of the learning. It's designed in a particular pace and sequence. Then we have an integration session, which is a conceptual integration of the learning. The practicum is the embodied integration of that same piece. So there's a kind of coherence there. And then the exciting thing for us is um, that we have upgraded the course to focus on 6 one-to-one sessions for ICF mentoring as well. So whilst there's practice in the modules, there's practice in the practicums, then all our Somanauts bring recordings for bespoke, individualized feedback and exploration with our mentors over 6 sessions. So it really is like a lot of support, specifically in service to the development of your individual coaching style within the framework. Um, Curious about your experience, Male, about of ICF mentoring, what the value of that was for you.
Super valuable. As I mentioned, I was a little resistant even to getting my ICF accreditation.
Yeah,
But it's so worth it. I really enjoyed the calls with our mentor. I learned a lot from that, like from reviewing my own videos and learning, like how to, just as I mentioned earlier, how to make it more efficient, like how to really make it more in service to the work we're doing. And yeah, it just felt like it was so worth it, and it really changed my perspective from like
yeah,
having amplification and yeah,
yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, I heard someone say recently, that the ICF competencies have a logic to them. And if you kind of tune into the logic of that, you can see how it is in service. They really support transformation and change. But if you're looking at it from the perspective of here's a checklist we need to fit within, it can be unclear, how is this in service to my client? So there's a kind of deeper level of the inherent logic of the work that aligns, somatics to coaching in that way, when you can kind of find that thread. Um, yeah, what comes up for you there?
It made all the sense to me in terms of I'm very much into feminine, masculine energies and dynamics, and it
Yeah,
absolutely made a lot of sense. Maybe that was the way I was able to like understand it better. It's like when you have a container, when you have structure, then the feminine can flow. Like when you have like the
yeah,
masculine holding the feminine. So it really made a lot of sense. I was very resistant. I have to admit. But when I when I
this is
started
new news to me. It's good to know though. Yeah,
when
yeah,
I
I know.
started
Yeah,
to really implement the structure, it was like, okay, this is really working. I'm really excited about the results I'm
yeah.
getting.
But we're doing a lot of work to codify the meta process, so that really the theory of change, right? That there's a coherent theory of change that underlies all of this, and it bears itself out in multiple domains. But one of those domains is complexity theory. That in complexity theory, you need a balance of constraints and conditions. The constraints being the structure, and the conditions being more about the flow of experience. So yeah, just another frame there on the masculine feminine piece, or yin yang, or all of that. But I suppose we are looking to work in an integrative way, aren't we? And partly that's about also being integrative with the client, like supporting all of the client's experience, honoring all of what's here, and the context, something like that.
Yes,
But,
yes, yes. I mean,
yeah,
it's order and chaos, right?
in chaos. Yeah. Order and chaos in service of emergence, what wants to emerge, the potential that's seeking to come through. So, last one before we open it to the group is we've since last year, I think, or maybe the year before, but it's our most recent course. We're now offering a 3-day group coaching certification, which in a way is like a seventh module of the training. It sort of um, coheres all of the skills, and then also clarifies how to hold a container for a group, and then also adds further skills on top of that. Maybe it would be lovely to hear from you. Like, what's your sense of, yeah, could you explain more about our group coaching course and the value you see in it?
Yeah, I think it's great follow-up to the main training, especially if you're inclined to working with groups, which was definitely my case. It really makes it, like thinking even from a like from a human design perspective for me, for instance, it was like, how can I be more efficient with my energy? Because I'm a projector, so I know that my energy is potent, but it's limited in a way. So I really find it lovely to work with groups because I really get to give all of me to a few people, and then it's more efficient than if I'm only giving one-on-one sessions. But I mean, this is of course a personal preference. If you're interested in groups, I think this is a great follow-up, where you will learn how to apply the majority of the skills that you already learned in the first training, and how to apply that into group, and like how to follow that group coherence and what's wanting to emerge as a group, and how to, yeah, to contain a group, which is very different to containing just a one-on-one session. I just feel like it's a great addition. I was very excited when the school decided to add this to the curriculum as an additional course. I really encourage anyone who's interested in facilitating body-oriented work with groups. It's definitely a great option, I really feel.
Mm. Yeah, one of the things I like about it is that it makes the business of marketing your services sometimes a bit easier because, of course, with a group program, you can kind of brand it as or theme it. So it's all very directly clear who you're offering it to and what they might get from it. Um, and one of the things we hear a lot in the community is, how do we what is the support that's here for us to build our business as well. So the group side is one part of that, and the other thing to just to signpost is that we're now offering a sales training as well for all of our Somanauts. So there's really a direction to what we're doing, which is so we have a really what we think is a beautiful kind of potent way of working, but how do we support that to carry forward into the world? How do we support the world to come to meet a kind of new way of being, really, which is to be in connection with our felt experience and our thinking whilst being in relationship. Um, it's almost like a new thing. It's like has been historically sort of underprivileged in society. This notion of power over or uh, overriding in order to move forward.
Mhm.
Um, So that's just to say that we're holding that there's an integrated way for us to show it in the world. And in a way, this is a kind of our attempt to create an island of coherence that starts to, yeah, invite others into that kind of experience. Anything on your side from that, Malay, before we open it to the group? Yeah, anything, any resonances or reactions or anything that comes up?
No, I just feel like very grateful to have come into contact with the school and to continue learning so much from the school. I feel that definitely, and you said it in the beginning, Sam, if it's not resonant, it's not right. So I really hope that
Yeah.
people here at live, and also people who will be watching the recording, allow themselves to sense, is this resonant? Is this right? Is this eliciting something? Like, am I
Mm.
feeling inspired? Um,
Mm.
yeah, because it's very worth it. If you are, it's very worth it. And if you're not, it's also okay, right? You're gonna find your thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, just as a final point, we always say this is a single unified way of working. You could work just this way. This could be your one-stop shop for the whole way of your work, or it's a beautiful kind of modular approach that you can integrate into your existing ways of working. as well. So in a way, the invitation is just to try on the lens, see what fits, keep what you like, integrate the rest, but do that in a context of, ethical, reflective practice that is really also honoring where coaching is going, which I think overall is towards regulation, towards uh yeah, proper inclusion as a profession. Male, thanks so much. So this kind of ends our conversation, but this is the beginning of checking in with the group. Um, so Inga, Deborah, Juliana, or Susanna, I'm curious to hear if you have any questions which we could explore for you. We've got, about 8, 10 minutes, if that would be resonant. What's coming up on your side, if anything? Deborah,
Hi.
let's come to you.
Hi. Thank you. That was really, yeah, really interesting. And I was curious about when you said level 2,
Oh, yes.
the ICF.
Mhm.
Do you have to do level 1 before? Do you already have to be
No, it's all part of it. In level one,
trained?
we're actually accredited for level one, but the level two includes the level one. So the thing about the course is once you have that, once you've got your level two certificate, you can go to the ICF to get your ACC credential. So that's the kind of the entry credential, or your PCC, professional certified coach. And essentially, you have no time limit on that. You can go at your own pace. It now you have that kind of holistic education, um, uh, proof of coaching education that would be necessary for a credential.
Right, thank you. And is the ICF, is that sort of the gold stamp
Mm.
for like international coaching?
Yeah, it's the foremost accrediting body in the world, the International
Right.
Coaching Federation. There are others. There's the Association for Coaching, which is more UK based, and then the EMCC. They're the two other bodies, but the ICF is the most well known, the most coaches, the most kind of global reach,
Okay.
most well
Great.
understood.
Thank you. And I'm a one-to-one therapist
Yeah.
for many years, but
Wonderful.
I want to branch out doing more group coaching.
Hmm.
So I liked hearing about structure, yeah, from Marley about, yeah, creating a structure
Mm.
for more, yeah, for coaching. I still want to reach out to more people and be more
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
coaching context. Yeah.
Is there anything that you'd like to know more about, Deborah, on that front that might serve?
Uh, yeah, I guess it's like integration that it was good to hear about how so the structure you could bring in your
Yeah,
past trainings in
yeah,
body
Madeline, maybe if
in
you,
body.
yeah, what kind of structure do we offer? What's your response to Deborah there in terms of the kind of structures she might be thinking about for her groups?
Well, in that sense, I think the body oriented group coaching training can be very illustrative of different types of structures, different types of ways in which you can coach a group, because there are different types of ways in which we can go coach a group. What we offer there is, like giving you three particular ways to do it, and then how to sort of play with them throughout the program. Just like Sam was mentioning, we're really encouraging our participants to like hold their groups in a way that will be more efficient, for instance, from a marketing perspective, in a way that you're offering a journey, and then there's a particular like set of sessions that the people are going to go through, and at the end of that, like there's the takeaway, the big takeaway from each session. But something that I love about groups, and is part of the structure thing, is you are learning from each other. Sometimes, like sometimes maybe one person in the group will be receiving the coaching, but the rest are there and they are also learning from that experience. And then there are moments where the whole group is going through an experience together. So there are different ways to do it, different ways in which you can structure a group program. This is something that is covered in the training. So if you're interested, this will be like how to apply everything you learned in the first training program, how to apply that with groups in this different set of structures. I don't know if that is helpful, Deborah.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, so the foundation, the coaching foundation course is like geared to one-to-ones, and then the 3 days is taking that into a group.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. That's it. That's it. And as Mal is saying, you can work one to one in the group, but drawing on the group, sensing into the group field, sharing, as part in service to the process, of course, or you can work with the whole group in a more kind of facilitative, guided way, where you do a guided embodied experience and sense make, or you can do something in the middle, which is um, drawing on a body of work called social presencing theatre, which is in a way an evolution of constellations. So where everyone is part of a process in service to one person, but in the end, often everyone gets something from it for themselves. So there's so many creative, really enjoyable ways to work in service to the becoming of whoever is there. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Social presencing theatre.
Yeah. It's great. Um, Lovely. So thank you, Deborah. That's great to hear. Susanna, thank you also for sharing. I will say that we have an introduction to body-oriented coaching um, session on Monday, 30th of March. And that is the place where you get another feel for the group space. You get more specificity on the content, and you get all of the technical details about the course. So really heartily recommend you attend. We have space, I think, a few spaces on our May intake as well. And if you want to talk to our course consultants, who will also give you more information and support you in your kind of decision-making process, this is the link there. So, having said that, is there anything else that feels alive that anyone would, yeah, there's an open loop that we could give a few minutes to?
I don't really have any questions, but I just thank you for doing this. I went to the 2 hour intro
Yes.
maybe a week and a half ago, had a very good conversation with Elena on Friday, I believe. And yeah, I'm really inspired and excited about the possibility of this in my life. And I'm in the process of doing a big career shift. And
Yeah.
this feels really good in my soul, and so I am really really excited. And I unfortunately think the May-June intakes are a little too fast for me and where I'm sitting at the moment. But I'm thinking the September one is probably where I'm headed. So I really am looking forward to it. I think this is what I've been looking for. So yeah, thank you for your time today. This was great.
You're very welcome, Inga. And yeah, we have many somanauts who have been in transition, who use this as a bridge from one life to the next. So, um, so the Monday session will be recorded. Thank you so much for sharing that, Inga. It's been lovely to have you on the call. I'm glad it's been useful. Um, yes, it will be recorded, Deborah, and you can catch up on the recording. That will also serve and then from that point would be a conversation with our course consultant to attune to the fit. Juliana, anything on your side?
No, thank you. I just appreciate all the information, and I already signed up for the next Monday webinar, so that would be great. Thank you.
Great. Male, then handing over to you then for any final words as we close.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for being here and anyone who will watch this recording. It's been a joy to share my experience with you, and hopefully, if this resonates with you, we'll see you soon.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly that. Wonderful. Go well, everyone. Wishing you a very good rest of your day and hope to connect again soon. Thank
All
you for
right.
coming.
Bye.
Thank you.
Boom.